Okay, so Mylan opened us up, MJ, with I read CNN News. Okay, so it's more so like the on-site, online um, website. Okay, good. Lots of good articles, information there. So normally, from my pickup of this, MJ, you are mainly current events. Kind of what's going on currently in the world. I like that. Emmeline, you pointed out that you read social media news, things that are kind of going on in the world, and you usually like to read documentary or history events. Okay, I like that. Lately, I have really also been getting into documentaries and history documentaries. Um, so I like that. All right, I see Aisha, social media. Yeah, for the most part, because we have so much access to social media, it tends to be where we get most of our news. So most reading gets done there, blogs and documentaries. Okay, I like that, Aisha. So I see documentaries twice. So more so of, and even when we say documentaries, there are many types of documentaries. So but the fact of looking at a topic or a subject more in depth, that's really what documentaries do. So I like that idea. I see Jamia pointed out that you like mystery stories. Like that. Rabia, in terms of what things do you normally read? You pointed out social media. Again, Jacob, social media. I see Yana, social media and blogs. Um, I see Jaquan, social media, Facebook, and I like reading things that relate to Chicago. Good, I like that too. A lot of times, what is going to spark our interest, what will prompt us to pick up a book and to read further, will normally be things that we can relate to. So the fact that you like things that relate to Chicago, whether it could be Chicago history or maybe just what's going on in Chicago, that's an interesting topic. Okay, I like that. All right, thank you, Aisha. Look, you got me. Brandon, social media. I see Mia, social media. Now, is it Mia or is it Maya? Look, I'm not gonna try to change, rename you. I'm pretty sure that's Mia. So you like to read social media, and Sam says social media as well. Okay, um, that's interesting, but not surprising because, like I said, with the access to social media, we will normally encounter most of our news, most things that we read, even if we're just reading, scrolling the news feed. It's a process of reading. It's valid reading. Okay, pretty interesting. One thing with social media that I just want to throw out there, it's kind of like my 2 cents. Um, Not only is social media really useful for, kind of connecting you to these news sites, but also social media is pretty important in terms of gauging the temperature, right? How does the public feel about this, information, this story? So I like social media because in real time, not only, do I get the opportunity to read the documents, but I then also get to, if I'm going to the comments, I get to see what other people think about it. I get to kind of read those comments, consider new approaches or new perspectives. So I like the fact that we're engaging in social media, using it for more than just, its entertainment purposes. Another thing with social media, you guys have to be wary of the information that sometimes shows up in your feed. Uh, while it is definitely an advancement in technology, social media has also introduced a wealth of misinformation. So as you guys especially move on into your 101 courses, where we really look at the credibility of sources or sites, but for now, just be mindful that it's okay to scrutinize what you read on social media as well. All right, good. Thank you guys for sharing. Today's class, as I pointed out in the announcement that I sent out last Tuesday, well, not last Tuesday, this Tuesday, today's class is really going to revolve around that reading assignment, the homework, Maria Popova's Fixed versus Growth Mindset. So what I have planned for today, it really, revolves around our reading and our understanding of that text. If we get a little bit of time towards the end of class, we may move into the 8 basic parts of speech. But yeah, today is pretty much all about fixed versus growth mindset, as well as us honing again and discussing those reading skills and strategies. All right. So let me share my screen with you guys really quickly. There's something I want to show you on our Brightspace page. So what I did is I attempted to kind of give you guys a heads up. So I sent a Brightspace announcement that told you specifically what your annotation should be seeking out. So let me just pull this up. Because one thing, before we jump into the post-reading questions, I want to first talk about those annotations. So how do we do with annotations, you guys? Was it easy? If you didn't have the actual text in front of you, did you guys find, if you had to take notes separately, was that an easy process? How did this process of reading and annotating work for you guys? How did we do?
I understood the passage, so I felt the annotating went good for me.
But I'm sorry, say it one more time, Rabia. You said you felt that the annotation was what?
I understood the passage, so I felt the annotating went good for me.
Okay, all right, good. Did anybody feel like it was like a lot of information to kind of work through? Oh, now you guys know. This is going to be a long winter. Look, if we're going to be quiet, but I know it's early, so I'll kind of give us a little time to work into it. But the English 96 class is really predicated on discussion. So the whole, idea that we'll just kind of quietly sit for 2 hours and 30 minutes, that's absolutely impossible, for us to kind of really get through the semester. So I want you guys to right now, look, we've talked about fixed versus growth mindset. Well, we've read about fixed versus growth mindset. I want us to adopt a growth mindset when it comes to speaking up, sharing ideas, even if they may be wrong, if you may be afraid that they may be wrong. But I definitely need your energy as we kind of work through readings and assignments throughout the semester. So I'm telling you guys now, look, we're going to ball that up, silence and crickets, and we're going to throw that out. We're going to kind of really dig in today. So again, let me ask, I heard from you, Rabia, thank you. How did the reading go? Was it an easy read, hard read? How did annotations go? Let me share.
It was good.
I see you, Jamia. Thank you. Easy read. Did anybody struggle to find main ideas? Did we kind of struggle to really pinpoint what's the author's main point? Okay, I see you, Yana. 50-50, not so hard. Did we struggle with identifying main idea?
I felt like it was main ideas, kind of multiple main ideas.
Oh, you feel like it was multiple. Okay. All right, so we'll talk about that. I know with the Jason Oda text that we talked about on Tuesday, that main idea was a little bit difficult, to locate for some of us. Did you guys feel that it was easier to identify or pinpoint in this reading? All right, Mylan says, I feel as if it wasn't an easy read, but it wasn't hard. Okay, so kind of like that 50-50, like Yana said. And I see also, Mylan, where you pointed out that you did feel comfortable in identifying that main idea. All right, so we'll talk about it. Look, I have time. Hold on, somebody else dropped me something. It wasn't hard, but I feel as if it gave multiple main points because it talked from both perspectives. Okay, I see that. Now here's what I want, just from gathering what you guys have responded to in the question. Was it a hard read? Was it easy to identify the main idea? We're going to kind of talk today about the breaking down of that and how to not really confuse supporting details with main points or, the main idea. So as you guys read this rather lengthy article, you'll see that it is revolving around one main idea. You know, and we'll talk about that, but they gave us many different ways of supporting or developing that one main idea. So we'll talk about it. All right. So a few things, I gave you guys a heads up, a few things to look for in annotations. This is what we're really going to be talking about, and what I'll be collecting today is, you know, the process of previewing the text. So, you know, how useful was the title in leading you guys to that main idea? Did we read the opening paragraph and concluding paragraph? Did you guys, you know, in the process, did we preview by reading first paragraph, last paragraph? And be honest, it's okay if you say no.
I just read from the bottom too.
Okay, read from the bottom. I like that. That's
I
still
mean, I'm
useful.
sorry, from the top to the bottom.
So I read the last paragraph and the first paragraph.
Okay. All right. So for the most part, did we do the previewing? I got a few of you, but I got about 14 more who I'm not really hearing from. So what are we, well, hold on, I'll come back to this one. All right, I'll come back here. We know after previewing, we use, you know, that information we gather to kind of make predictions. So based on what I've read in the title, based on what I've read in the opening and concluding paragraph, I can make a prediction as to what this text will talk about, what it, you know, will teach me. And that starting point is what will help guide you to the author's main idea. So again, if you feel like in this particular text you struggled to really highlight or identify that main idea, it could be because we're missing that previewing step, right? So I want to show you guys something. And additionally, we're going to talk about what you identified in your annotations as far as vocabulary and any questions or connections to the text. So that's where we will start. Let me pull up the text really quickly. I want to show you guys something. It's a relatively longer text, and I started with this longer text because when you're learning, when not necessarily learning to read, but learning these critical reading habits, right? These critical reading skills. You know, I really wanted to introduce you guys to, you know, college level reading, but also with it being longer, I want us to think too about how to make a longer text more manageable. So kind of taking on these bite-sized, you know, portions of the reading, making sure we understand what we've read before we then move on any further. So we'll talk about strategies for that. Let me pull this up. All right, so I'll keep this in this window. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. All right, awesome. All right, so again, previewing, I just want to show you guys how helpful that one early first step is in terms of helping us really get the information. So the title of this text, Fix versus Growth, the two mindsets that shape our lives, okay? Really useful title. Just as previewing it, I would think that, okay, I'm going to learn about mindsets and how those mindsets shape our lives, right? And pretty much that does accurately summarize what the article talks about. So I know from previewing the title that I am going to learn about mindsets that shape our lives, okay? So that's information that helps to prepare me for what I will encounter in the text. All right, we said also preview also considers the text. So let's just say I'm doing a blind preview. I'm looking at colored text, I'm looking at bolded text, and I'm just scanning to kind of see what definitely this visual. So now I kind of see the breakdowns of the fixed and growth mindset. So I'm previewing, I'm kind of getting a little bit of information on these two mindsets that, you know, I'm going to learn shape my everyday life, right? So I'm looking at them, getting a little bit of information. So just basic previewing. But let me go now to the last paragraph, because what we talked about on Tuesday, if we approach our reading like we do writing, right? And if we know that an essay, that last paragraph, that concluding paragraph normally summarizes the main idea and reiterates the author's main point. Let me go here while I'm previewing just to see what is the author's main point in this very long text, right? All right, here we are. So here we kind of even see the setup for the summary. It begins with what it all comes down to is, right? That they're summarizing, they're closing out and summarizing what all of this text has been about. What it all comes down to is that a mindset is an interpretive process that tells us what is going on around us. Single sentence that does summarize the author's main idea. Again, how these mindsets determine, if you will, what goes on with us, right? So we see that. Then, we kind of see the summary breakdown of what a fixed mindset is and what a growth mindset is. And lastly, this last blurb, look at this. It says, in the rest of Mindset, the New Psychology of Success, Dweck goes on to explore how these fundamental mindsets form, what their defining characteristics are in different contexts of life, and how we can rewire our cognitive habits to adopt the much more fruitful and nourishing growth mindset. So I know just by kind of previewing this, just reading this last paragraph, kind of getting a little bit of information from here, that we are looking at how not only what the mindsets tell us about ourselves, but how we can use or change our mindsets in order to be more fruitful and more successful. So just that quick preview. I haven't read anything, which I have, but let's say I haven't read the text yet, then I have gathered enough information to really be able to know what I'm walking into when I start my reading of this text. I know we're talking about fixed and growth mindsets. I know they're going to lay out how those mindsets shape or influence how I behave and operate, and how those mindsets also interpret, my behavior. So I just learned that from the title and by previewing that last paragraph. And ultimately, as you guys have read, we do know that is the main idea. That is the main point of the text. So previewing just that one step gave us quite a bit information to make sure that when we do finally dive into the text, we're not just kind of feeling our way around, just reading a lot of words that aren't really connecting to anything for us. So now that I know what to look for in the text, now that I know what the text is designed to teach me, I can accept that and receive it as I'm reading. Okay. So if you do not normally, again, preview, if you did not preview for this exercise, over the next now 14 weeks that we'll be together, I hammer in the reading process. Whether you think you need it or not, it is very helpful, especially where I learned early on with the diagnostic, with the Jason Oder reading, that we struggled sometimes to correctly identify that main idea. All right, let's talk about it. So I got a couple of questions that I'm going to pose. Let me stop share for just a second. So hopefully you guys have your reading notes with you. I am going to attempt to have us share out some of our annotation notes. So let me share really quickly this link. And what I want you guys to do with this link that I'm sharing is to use it to lay out a one-sentence summary of what you think the author's main idea is. So based on your annotations, maybe you highlighted the main idea, maybe you underlined it, maybe you jotted it down in your annotation notes. Use that information to single sentence summarize what you believe is the author's main idea. So let me drop this in chat. And as you guys are completing it, it'll pull up in another board and we can look at it all on the screen and talk about it. All right, so give me 1 second. All right. So I'm dropping a Padlet link. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Padlet, but it just allows you guys to kind of jot down your answers in a way that we can all view it and take a look. So sending this now. And students will click on this link. And when you do, you are answering the question. First question, single sentence summary of the author's main idea in the fixed versus growth mindset. Okay. And hopefully your annotations, you identified it. So just again, use your notes just to jot it down really quickly, and we'll talk about it.
I can't click on it. It's not like bolded.
Did you say you can't click on it?
Yeah, it's not like bolded. Like, yeah. Like it won't. Yeah, it's just a regular like text message.
Okay, let me share my screen and you guys tell me if you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at. Hold on. So it should have taken you to a screen here. Do we see this? And then for you to answer the question, you guys see how I clicked on that little small pink circle? And here is where I'll say main idea, or I'll type in my single sentence summary. So the author's main idea is, and then from there, I would click, sorry. I'm supposed to write it here. So the author's main idea, I'll upload it, drop it. I think once I do this, I have to get out of it. There it is. So I've dropped it 2 or 3 times, but you guys will see that as soon as you type in your response, it'll show up again on this board like this. So, and then we can talk about it. So I see how some of you guys are already, I think I see one person already typing it in. So again, Rabia, you are you seeing something different from this?
I can't like click on the link. Like it won't take me to it. Yeah.
All right, let me shoot it to your email. But other than that, are we all seeing this, the same screen when you guys click on the link?
Yes.
All right, and then you just click on this pink circle here, or you can click anywhere on the space. Click anywhere, you guys see how it'll allow you to start typing. Okay, I got a couple of students here who are adding. All right, awesome. Okay, give me just a second. Rabia, let me shoot it to you. I wonder why you're not able to view it or click on it. Hold on, let me go out.
I'm not able to click on it either.
All right, and I'm sorry, I had changed my screen. Who was that who stated that?
Emmeline.
Emmeline. All right, let me shoot it to you and Rabia. Give me 1 second. All right, so we'll take a little time on that. And while we wait, all right, I see you guys typing. Let me stop the share. So allow you guys to work, and let me jump out for just a minute to email the link. All right, I sent it to your CCCs, Emmeline and Rabia. Oh, okay, good question. Giselle asks, are we supposed to leave it as anonymous? No, the way that you guys are kind of getting that in-class participation points and those engagement credit is if it is attached to your name. So maybe put your name at the start. I had put it in where it would automatically populate your name, but I do see how a lot is showing up as anonymous. So after you guys complete your sentence summary, of what the main idea is, just put your first name or last name, and just so I can know who to connect it to. As soon as you click off of it, Sam, it's going to automatically post. So it's nothing that you hit to post. So let's say once you're done, let's say click on the whiteboard and it'll show up. Okay. Oh, good. I have quite a few on the page. Awesome, guys. Thank you. So take a little bit more time on it. It's working. I can see it on my end. Thank you, guys. Let me again just check out about what we have. 1, 2. Okay, there's a couple of us who are still waiting on, but for the most part, the majority of you are done. I see. Great. We'll take a couple more minutes on this, you guys, and then we'll talk about it. All right. Now, for quite a few of you guys, it's showing up. I see you, Emmeline, so you've posted. Quite a few of you are still showing up as anonymous. So I see, let me read out whose names I see. I see Emmeline, Mylan, Jacob, Rabia, Mia, Julian, Giselle, Jamia, Aisha, and that's it. Oh, Sam, I see you too, Sam. So if you did not hear your name called and you know you submitted something, kind of go back in and at the end of your post, if you can, add your name. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. Good, you guys. Let me share my screen with you so you can see what I'm looking at. All right. So do you guys see how that Padlet works? It's kind of an opportunity for us to share out our idea and for me to kind of see, are we about on the same page, you know, where we all identifying the main idea appropriately, or if I do see any submissions that may miss the mark, has more than one person selected that same thing. So I get a better idea of how you guys were reading. So we just did a quick previewing exercise. And from that exercise, I really too hinted, I gave you guys the main idea. And I kind of wanted to see who either made note of it or who from their own annotations had also identified it. So let's see. I'll kind of jump around from the notes. I'll start with Aisha. You said the author purpose for this article is to discuss the two different mindsets and to influence or inform the reader on his or her mindset choice. Now, this is good information, but what you guys are writing specifically is what is Maria Popova's main idea in that article. So not so much the purpose, but in saying what she said, what is her main point? So that mainly is what I'm looking to see communicated. So yes, it is a discussion, but what about that is she talking about? So let's see. I see Yana. The main idea is that person should work and do it for own pleasure. The author means do what you like, then you will be successful. Okay, so I do see use of the word successful. And we do know that that's one of the primary main points. They're talking about these different mindsets, and once we have this awareness of them, how we can use them in order to be more successful, right? So I do see that link there, but it is less about pleasure. So let's see what else we can add to that. And I'm kind of looking around at this point. Yeah, we don't need to be adding anything else. So if anybody's typing kind of as I'm reading, look, we don't need to. At that point, I want to know, what did you think before you read anybody else's ideas? So let me see here. Let me see Noah. It says, I think the author's main idea is to try to differentiate the two understandings of growth and fixed mindset and how each of them respond differently in certain scenarios. This is an awesome summary of the main idea, Noah, in that in looking, and hold on, I'm just going to pause my share here because I want to pull up the title. I'm just kind of going back to the title again one more time. But we learned that the two basic mindsets that shape our life. Now listen to this. Underneath the title, it says, how to fine-tune the internal monologue that scores every aspect of our lives from leadership to love. So it's pretty much from this title and from what we read in the concluding paragraph, we are looking at yes, knowledge of what the two mindsets are, but then how we can use that knowledge in order to, improve or be successful in our everyday lives. So I think this is a pretty good summary in that it communicates exactly what the text is about. Clearly just making a distinction between the two mindsets, characteristics, habits, and then how that knowledge can be used to shape us, right? So I do see one part of that here. Let's see what else. I see Jamia, the author's main idea is with a growth mindset, you work hard to become the best, and a fixed mindset is getting good with things. Now this is good as far as summarizing kind of that breakdown of growth and fixed mindset. So you said with growth, you work hard to become the best. Yeah, so it's more that work and effort with growth, good. And with fixed mindset, it's more so this idea of the appearance of being good or having what they call natural abilities or talent. Normally, you know, dead against failure, you know, they see it as an indicator as to whether they're intelligent or not, or how successful they'll be. So I see your breakdown here, Jamia, but again, it's still missing just some points as far as what to do with that information about the mindsets, okay? Giselle, to me, the author's main idea is that both of these mindsets are different and how they still connect with each other with every relationship you're in or how you are as a person. I like this. So it's about these mindsets, how they're different, you know, how people with the mindsets, how they operate, and how it kind of shapes us as a person. That's good. Definitely see that working. I see Rabia, the main idea is about the definition of fixed and growth with different circumstances to have an outcome of which one is better. I think in the text, they did a good job of clearly establishing that growth mindset is better. Do you guys agree with that? Based on everything you
Yes.
read. Yeah, did you feel it was almost a promotion of a growth mindset? So it is some direction in the text where they are telling you this is what a fixed mindset looks like, this is what they do, but growth mindset is kind of really where it's at, right? Those people who operate out the growth mindset tend to be more successful. So they did kind of point to how one is better. But that's good ideas there too. Let me see, Jacob. The main idea of this article was to talk about how the reader could have different types of mindsets. That is the topic. So the topic is about the mindsets. But when we think about main idea, we are now looking at what is the author communicating about that topic. So the topic is mindsets. Yeah, so I see how you guys are all identifying mindsets as the main idea. It is the topic of the article, but what makes the main idea is the ideas that the author attaches to the topic. So the topic is mindsets, but the idea is how it shapes our everyday lives. So it goes beyond just that topic into a idea. So main idea is about what fixed and growth mindset means in circumstances. I see that. And I know I may have missed some, you guys. If I did, I'm sorry. I think I did, Yana. All right, I see Brandon. A fixed mindset is not open to nothing, and a growth mindset wants to grow. All right, that's a good summary of the definitions. All right, so good. I see Sam. The main idea is how the mind is developed or can develop over time. That's good. That points to main idea, right? So the topic, fixed versus growth mindset, or these two mindsets, that's the topic. But the point the author is making about that topic is how the mind can be developed or shaped, you know, using the mindset. So I think this falls a little bit more into main idea, what the author's point is. So in time, we're looking again at main idea, you know, and I've used the example before. When you sit and listen to a person talk or tell a story or just in regular conversation, you are listening and following what they're saying to establish a point. They said all of this to send a message, and that message is usually how you identify the main idea. So we have the topic, but what is the message behind that topic? So let me show you guys something. Let me close out of this. All right, let me close out of this and let me pull up the Brightspace page because I want to show you guys something. And you guys have your annotations in front of you, correct? Let me share this. So if we know that in essay writing, how our thesis statement or main idea is normally introduced in the introduction, right? So I may want to hover pretty close to the beginning, but I mean, still reading, to see if I can identify a single sentence that communicates the author's main idea. So in these first few paragraphs, from your annotations, what did we highlight or circle or make note of in these, let me see this, in these first two paragraphs?
I highlighted the first sentence,
You highlighted the first sentence.
and then the second paragraph I highlighted from sentence 3 to existing abilities.
So from sentence 3 on. Okay, hold on, you guys. Give me 1 second. I see one.
Basically, the definition of that.
Okay, so you highlighted the definitions. I see that. All right. What about this last sentence here? Hold on. Let me use my annotation.
I underlined the last sentence in the first paragraph.
In the first paragraph. Okay, let me go to that. Let me look at that. Last sentence, first paragraph. So you say, much of that understanding stems from the work of Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck, an inquiry into the power of our beliefs, both conscious and unconscious, and how changing even the simplest of them can have profound impact on nearly every aspect of our lives. That's a good note to take right there. That's kind of the startup of the author's main point. But the reason why I would stop short of identifying this as a main idea is here she's introducing us to the research that she used in the text. So here she's talking about Carol Dweck's findings. So it's not yet Maria Popova's idea about it. But yeah, she does let us know that to explore these mindsets a bit further, she's using the work of Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck, her research and her ideas, in order to prove, how these mindsets can shape our everyday lives. All right, so I see that you pointed out, Rabia, you highlighted the first sentence, if you imagine less is what. Okay, good. I think this is an important sentence, and that it gives us some, what can I call it? It prepares us for what the text will talk about. But let me ask you guys this. Did anybody highlight this last sentence in the second paragraph? Check out your annotations. Did we have anything that points us to this last sentence in this second body paragraph? And I see you, Samantha. You said where it says identifying not only. Starts with that. Only the core driver of the mindsets, but also how they can be reprogrammed. I like that. Sorry, you guys. I'm just kind of. Did anybody point to this last sentence? Do we find it anywhere in our notes? Out of these two mindsets, which we manifest from a very early age, springs a great deal of our behavior, our relationship with success and failure in both professional and personal contexts, and ultimately our capacity for happiness. Do we have any notes, any highlights, any underlines, stars, anything from our notes that identify this sentence? And we can yell yes, we can say no.
No.
All right. No. This is the author's main idea. So where some students had identified that there was more than one, or that, they're in different parts of the text. Ultimately, if I had to point to a thesis statement or underline the author's main idea, this is the single sentence that summarizes what Maria Popova plans to teach us about these mindsets. Okay, so it says, again, let me read it one more time. Out of these mindsets, which we manifest from a very early age, springs a great deal of our behavior, our relationship with success and failure in both professional and personal contexts, and ultimately our capacity for happiness. So she plans in the rest of this text to show us how these two mindsets shapes our behavior, it shapes how we view success and failure in both our professional and personal lives. Do you guys remember the example she included about relationships in the text?
Mm-hmm.
About how mindsets play into how we operate even in love, even in our personal relationships. You guys remember seeing that in the text?
Yes.
This is what I would call what outlines the rest of this text. So we know from this statement, she talks about how our relationship, how we think about success and failure tells a lot about what mindset we're operating in. And those relationships we have with these ideas of success and failure, it can impact us on the workplace. It can impact us in school. It can impact us in our home and personal relationships. And the awareness of these mindsets will ultimately shape our capacity for happiness. Now, in reading that, and you guys now really seeing that clearly, do you feel that the text, everything that you've read, supports and develops this idea?
Yes.
Yeah. In reading this sentence, this outlines the text. All of her supporting details. Let me give you guys a list. The supporting details that she talked about, she laid out evidence using, I think it was like a Columbia brainwave, which that was looking at how, you know, our brains, how we interpret, you know, these particular mindsets. She gave an example or used the detail of the jigsaw puzzle and how that revealed certain relationships or how we related to these mindsets, right? She also used Carol Dweck's research, the effort praised and ability praise study, how we use that, how that determines how we look at success and failure. So everything that she mentions here in this single statement, we see an attempt in the rest of the article for her to support, develop, and prove that with examples, details, and reasoning. So I'm glad that we're doing this together in class, because even though I'm telling you guys for homework, go out and read and annotate. You know, go out and, you know, jot down what you're reading. I do want to guide you guys a little bit in how you're reading it. Yes, the critical reading skills are important, but also look at or start with, what is this text designed to teach me? Again, if we miss that single starting point, then a lot of the information we're getting, we're overwhelmed with it. And I think that's why some students said there's many ideas, there's many points, because there is a lot of information here. But we need to know how to organize the information that we encounter. And it's normally organized under the author's main idea. Once we know what the author's main idea is, then we can examine the text to look at how did they support that idea. And when we see that what we're looking at and thinking its main idea, but it's really just details, this is the development of that main point, then we start to avoid confusing details for key points, okay? So we'll get more practice on this. But this last sentence, paragraph 2, just like in an essay where an introduction would present the author's main idea, we see Maria Popova's main idea. Okay, so you guys see that there. All right, good. I have another question about your annotations. In addition to you guys identifying the main idea, as well as supporting details, I also told you guys to look for vocabulary words, or make sure you are identifying unfamiliar vocabulary words in the text, right? I think I told you to identify it, but we know when we identify the words, we should also be defining them, yes? So drop for me in chat 1 or 2, 2 to 3, look, at least 2 words that you identified in your annotations. Let me stop share for a second. So drop me a quick line, you know, looking at your notes and what you highlighted or identified in the text. What were some unfamiliar vocabulary words that you encountered? Look, let me reiterate the instructions in chat. And when I say list the words, just drop me the word. You don't have to give me the entire definition. Just what word did you identify in your reading as an unfamiliar word that you perhaps had to stop and look up? Just give me those words. So list 2 to 3 vocab. Okay. I see one. Immensity. Voracious. All right, so as you guys are completing that, I've heard from about 6 or 7 students now. So if you guys haven't dropped into chat, make sure you're doing so. But while we're waiting on that, I'm pulling up something in the background. What are the words I saw? All right, what else? See that, Giselle. All right, so you guys dropped some good ones. What you're noticing, I'm noticing how many of you identified the same words, right? So I see words like discrepancies and immensities, voracious, perpetual, immutably. I see several students with that. Voracious again there, that is contemptuous. I like that one. The reason I asked this question is because, and I see contemptuous several times too, so the reason I'm asking this question is because when we looked at the Jason Oda text on Tuesday, one of the main words in the text that definitely pointed us to Jason Oda's main idea was indoctrination. And I think if that was a word that a student read and kind of glazed over in the text, they definitely would have missed pertinent, important information in helping them to identify the author's main idea. So hopefully that small exercise has kind of really reinforced for us that we definitely want to make sure that when we are reading, while you don't have to know it by heart, definitely taking a moment to stop and look up a word can help to open up the meaning of the text, right? So in the Maria Popova text, since she was utilizing scientific research, right? Carol Dweck's research, a lot of that language was unfamiliar for me. So I did find myself looking up certain, scientific terms. So I asked this question because I knew if I struggled to look up a few things, and I know that there were some words that students perhaps may have stumbled over or had to stop and look up. So you guys should have a pretty, what can I call it? A pretty healthy vocabulary list from your annotations. And the good thing about that is when you annotate, if you not only just look it up, but also jot it down, perhaps in the margin, so that when you review or study that document, you still have that information there. In doing so, it builds your vocabulary. It builds college level vocabulary. You have just learned a new word to introduce into your vocabulary. So when I asked the question earlier in the semester, like what is a student looking to get out of the class? What is your expectation for the course? A couple of students said to build my vocabulary. So this whole process of annotating, stopping when we encounter a word we don't understand, and looking it up, it helps open up comprehension plus build vocabulary. So let me share my screen because I looked up a couple of words you guys laid out. And since I'm already on my laptop and, not my phone, I'm using the desktop version of, Merriam-Webster dictionary. But week one, when we were looking at our syllabus, you guys know one of the required tools for the class is access to a dictionary and thesaurus. And this is the reason why. So one of the words you guys identified was voracious. So we see the word, we see a couple of definitions, but let's kind of look around and see what else we see. Normally, if it's a word I'm completely unfamiliar with, like I don't know how to say it or anything, I'll click here. Hold on. Pop-ups. I'll click here to hear it. I told you guys I'm more auditory, so I like to hear things.
Voracious.
So when I click on that, I can hear how to pronounce the word. So not only am I learning the word, I'm also making sure I say it correctly, right? So definitions: having a huge appetite. A synonym is ravenous. Another definition, excessively eager. And a synonym for that is insatiable. So depending on how the word is used in the text, that will determine which definition you apply. So you don't have to write down both definitions if you're jotting it in your margins. You would simply write down the one that speaks to how it's being used in the text. So you guys see that. Here's something else I want to show you. You see here next to the word, it identifies what part of speech the word is. So with this week, and one of the readings in our module 2 is, a back to basics review sheet about the 8 basic parts of speech. When you know what part of speech it is, you then know how to use it in a sentence, okay? So with it being an adjective, adjectives describe nouns. So if we're going to describe a person's appetite, which is a noun, we can say that they had a voracious appetite, this huge appetite. If we are describing, you know, what type of reader they are, right? You know, we could say that the person's a voracious reader, and that means they're trying to read, collect any information that they can. So adjective lets us know how the word should be used when we know, you know, our parts of speech. So there's a reason why I have us reviewing that and studying that. What else? We talked too about examples in sentences, so they allow you to see it. And they also give you synonyms. So let's say, for instance, I'm writing and I want to use the word voracious in my writing, but I feel that I've used it too much. I've used it over and over again, and now it's become repetitive. Well, what can I use in place of saying voracious again, right? So I'll click on synonyms, which is the same thing as a thesaurus. And now it gives me all kind of other words I can use so that I don't say voracious over and over again in my writing. So I can talk about ravenous, gluttonous, rapacious, etc. All right, that's one. I wanted to look up another word quickly before we move on from this. I saw contemptuous. Oh, I think it has a T here. All right. So again, just to make sure that I'm saying the word correctly. Contemptuous. Okay, so there we have that. I know it's an adjective, so this is a word that I would use to describe a noun. And what it means is manifesting, feeling, or expressing deep hatred or disapproval. Okay. So only one meaning of that word here. So again, quick model of how to use dictionary. Anytime we encounter an unfamiliar word, not only does it open up comprehension, we are building a college level vocabulary at the same time. All right, good. Let me see if I've gotten anything else in chat. All right, deficient, I see that. Okay, good. One more thing about annotations before we move on from this. I know since we have different backgrounds, different experiences, what one student will take from that text may be different from what another student may take from it. So I want you guys to identify for me, and you can either say it verbally or you can drop it in chat, but based on your annotations or your notes, what is a passage that you highlighted or made note of that you found particularly interesting or meaningful? So as you were reading it, either your eyebrow went up, you know, you thought that this was interesting or meaningful information. What did you guys identify? And you can just give me one from your annotations. Normally, maybe you jotted something down in the margins. Maybe, again, as you were reading it, you got the aha moment, something that really made sense to you or that you found interesting. What did you guys pick up on in your notes? Look, I see I've lost people. I'm losing people. Yeah, you guys make sure anytime we have a reading assignment, you come ready. We're coming ready to talk and share. So if you have to reread to talk, you may not have been totally prepared, okay? So definitely, you know, this is a good model exercise for you guys to know what we normally do after you read text. We're going to talk about those annotations. So let me know from your annotations, what did you find meaningful or interesting in the text?
I must say the 19th paragraph.
19th paragraph. So go ahead and read it. Read a blurb from it for me, Rabia. If you don't mind, how do you feel about that? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
I think intelligence is something you have to work for. It isn't just given to you. Most kids, if they're not sure of an answer, will not raise their hand to answer their question, but what I usually do is raise my hand because if I'm wrong, then my mistake will be corrected.
Oh, I
Or
know
I will
just
raise
what.
say, how would this be solved? Or I don't get this. Can you help me? Just by doing that, I'm increasing my intelligence. What I got from this was it's kind of similar to the last passage we read about phenomenon.
Okay, that's good, Rabia. I also jotted that down in my notes when I was reading too, in that what was significant about that was that it was a seventh grader who kind of came to that conclusion. Did you see that that was what a seventh grader, um, after they had participated in this study, that was what they walked away with, that intelligence is something that you have to work for. It is something that, will take some effort, just like you pointed out about the raising the hand. Even if I get the answer wrong, I'm still, winning, or I'm still a success in that by asking, I found out that, I needed to look a little further or learn a bit more. So, yeah, I also made note of that too. I like that one. What else, you guys? Let me see. I have something, a couple things in chat. So Samantha, you identified, let me make sure that was the most recent. Well, let me start with Jamia. So Jamia says, when people embark on a relationship, they encounter a partner. Oh yeah, I remember this part, Jamia. When people embark on a relationship, they encounter a partner who is different from them, and they haven't learned how to deal with the difference. That was interesting. Oh, you said that was interesting. Yes. I like how she talked first about how the growth and fixed mindset manifests itself in the classroom. So we saw those studies with kids with the jigsaw puzzle, when they had to write a letter to their peers. We saw that interaction, but it was interesting to see how growth and fixed mindset manifests itself in relationships. So you're mentioning, Jamia, the explanation almost of how these mindsets operate or interpret relationships. So they talk too about fixed mindset kind of looks at relationships as, I need to find my soulmate because there is like a perfect match for me. And if I'm with someone and we encounter any problems or difficulties, well, then this must not be the person for me, because a fixed mindset tells me that I shouldn't have to work. I shouldn't, if this is the right relationship, then it should come natural. So I found it really interesting too, how Maria Popova brought in how these different mindsets even affect our relationships, right? I like that too. Sam said when they were doing their research with the children, yeah, I was tripped out by a lot of their findings with the kids as little as kindergarten. Remember the puzzle study where when given the choice, we think that these mindsets aren't, that they don't start from an early age, but we saw when given a choice, even young kids, sometimes they're going to choose the easy route. I don't want anything that's going to challenge me too hard. I'm going to only pick what I know I can be successful at. And it blew me away to see kids aware of that, like really young kids aware of that. So yeah, the research with the children, that was pretty interesting. It was quite a bit of research with children, from that jigsaw puzzle to the letters to peers. Remember when they were getting the praise, whether it was effort-based praise or ability praise, when the students had to write a letter to their peers to kind of say how they did, fixed mindset people would almost lie or misrepresent, what happened or went on, so that they could give the appearance and illusion that they were successful or that they were smart, right? Yeah, so that was interesting. Giselle says, something that I really liked was how we adjust our own mindset when interacting with people we have relationships with. Yeah, Giselle, that was really interesting to me as well. Aisha, you said the fixed mindset kids wanted to make sure they succeeded in order to seem smart, whereas the growth mindset ones wanted to stretch themselves. For their definition of success was about becoming smarter. I like that. I think I highlighted that too, Aisha. So again, it's just giving us a better idea of how the mindsets approach education or intellect, right? Fix wants to appear smart, while growth is more interested in becoming smart, right? Good. What else? I have Aisha. Samantha said the student letter kind of confused me because I didn't know how to put it into words. Yeah, that student letter. That's it was some really interesting findings from the research. Yeah, the student letter was another one. That was a doozy. When you guys were reading this, did you recognize people who you know? Like as you're reading this, you're like, yeah, that's me, or you're like, yeah, that's my sibling. Like, did we in real time make those connections to what we were reading? Like, I know people just like this. I know people who do this. Did we see that, you guys?
Yes, I did. I noticed the whole story when it's
Well, I'm sorry.
basically.
I'm sorry, Brandon.
No, just remind me of people like that when it with the fixed mindsets and stuff like that, when you know already know how they're gonna react.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it just started running in my head. I'm like, my son, my father-in-law, I'm just to a T. So it was really interesting how the results from this study, it's almost spot on. And it's helpful to know now that it's not just necessarily how they are, because I can identify some people and I'm like, oh, well, you know how they are. But what I'm really referring to is I know what mindset they're operating out of, right? That's really how I can look at it now. They're operating out of a certain mindset. And based on Maria Popova's text, we now know that can be shaped, that can be changed. Once you are aware of the mindset, you can then make conscious steps to change it. So I like that. I see you, Giselle. I see Brandon, you added a couple too. Let me see. Giselle said also people with fixed mindset were really interested in hearing feedback that reflected directly on their present ability, but turned out on things that could help them improve. Oh yeah, tuned out, my bad. But tuned out on things that could help them improve and learn. To me, it's like they need to be right and there is no other way than their way. I like that breakdown, Giselle. Yeah, they don't want to hear it. I don't even want to hear constructive criticism. And sometimes I run it as a teacher. I run into those personalities, when a student submits a paper and you want to give feedback on how to improve. Sometimes that is looked at as, oh, you're just telling me what I did wrong. You're just telling me how this was bad, where a growth mindset would approach that as, here's what I need to do. This is helpful because this is what I need to do to improve or to be better at it, right? So I see so much of everyday interactions in this text. So I'm glad you guys pointed this out too. Let me see what else. Brandon stated, when people with a fixed mindset talk about their conflicts, they assign blame. I remember that in the text. Those with the growth mindset, on the other hand, can acknowledge their partner's imperfections. Yes. And again, that goes back to that part on relationships. So when she was talking about personal relationships, I saw myself. I'll be honest. Again, when we read, when we make those annotations, we are making note of connections. How did we relate to the text? And I related to this in that when I was younger, I think I operated more out of a fixed mindset with relationships. It was definitely the perfect versus imperfect thing. Any flaw, anything that didn't jive well with what it was that my worldview, then that was a deal breaker, right? All of these little minuscule things that didn't even mean a lot. When I was kind of younger in relationships, newer in relationships, I was definitely operating out of a fixed mindset. I see it. The whole thing where they look to assign blame. If there's a problem, it must be you. It couldn't be things like, well, maybe it's how we communicate, or maybe it's, other things. So definitely, Brandon, I saw this too. So I'm glad you guys are definitely interacting with the text well. I like that. Who else did I see here? Aisha, one part of the article that I really got interested in is when the author was talking about a growth mindset could identify the partner imperfection. Yeah. So how the growth mindset can look at those imperfections as loving qualities, right? That imperfection, or what may be perceived as an imperfection, is actually a quality that can be appreciated. That's maybe, and I'm saying maybe because I guess it would depend on what that imperfection is, but the growth mindset really approaches it as we can work through this, right? This is something that through effort, you know, we can improve. So yeah, I think that was interesting too, Aisha. Giselle, it's like, I'm right, you're wrong, and if you don't like it my way, then I don't care. And the growth mindset can use the feedback to grow, right? And lastly, Samantha said, it's like a fixed mindset focuses on their failures rather than what they can improve on, in my opinion. Yeah, and sometimes, Samantha, it's not even that they focus on the failures. They will ignore failure. They will deny failure. Even when they're faced with failure, then it would still be, well, that it was something wrong with that test. You know, oh, well, that was, you know, something where I didn't have time to study, you know, like I didn't know that was, you know, things like that. So it's not so much that they focus on failures, fixed mindset, as they, what can I say? What's the word? They totally deny failures. They don't even address failures. Me fail, I do not fail, right? They want to give this appearance that they succeed at everything that they do, the fixed mindset. And I kind of think the fixed mindset, they may be getting a bad rap. We may be just kind of just, you know, hitting them with a stick over the head. Some of it, I do believe on some levels it may depend on, you know, some levels of maturity, because I noticed again, when I was reading some connections I made, you know, I have a 16-year-old who's in school, and he'll value subjects or the work that he does in school based on if he's good at it or not. So if he's not good at it, in his opinion, he doesn't really want to give it any more energy. If I'm not good at it, then it must not be for me type of attitude. So when I was reading this, I'm like, oh my goodness. So this is a mindset that I need to work with him on changing and adjusting. Just because you have to do a little extra work doesn't mean it's not for you, or that, you know, you're not good at it. All right, good, you guys. All right, I get you, you know. Good feedback there with annotation. So again, anytime you guys are given a reading assignment, read and annotate. You now see what we do with those annotations. So you really want to take copious notes, really interact and engage in the text, because normally I will ask you about your annotations. If I don't ask you, if I don't ask you specifically like we did today, then I'll tell you, take a picture with your phone, shoot me an email of your annotations, and I'll review them that way. But there's always an expectation that you guys are annotating to seek out comprehension in the reading. All right, good. One more thing before I put this to bed. And there are post-reading questions. So we've kind of talked out our understanding, and now you guys are going to have time to silently use your notes and your understanding of the text to answer questions. And when I say silently, I don't mean that you don't have to, you know, talk or say anything, but it just means I'm not talking. So it's really more so with you guys. So give me just a second. I am dropping a link in chat. Because you guys will be answering, I think it's about 5 short questions about the reading. So now, after you've read, now let's think about what we've read. So let's put this here. And Rabia and Emmeline, though, because I noticed last time you guys two had issues, check and see if you can get into this, and if not, I'll shoot it to you really quickly in an email. All right, you guys, pull up this form. I just dropped the link for you in chat.
I can't get in it.
Okay, Rabia, that's okay. Let me take it to you.
Can we start now?
Yeah, go ahead and start now. As soon as you can open it up, go ahead and begin answering those questions.
Can you send it to me too?
Sure. And who was that? I'm sorry, I had my screen off. Who was
Emmeline.
Emily? Yeah. You and Rabia. All right.
Thank you.
Did somebody else say send it to them? Okay, no. All right. Give me 1 second. All right, you guys, I just sent it. All right, for everyone else, I'm going to pull it up on our screen just so we have it in front of us. All right, I'm just kind of looking here at responses. So far I have about 7 responses in. So we'll take a few more moments. Well, I'll say about 6 to 7 minutes. If you guys are still working, finish up, before we move on. So I'm muting myself again. Let's take maybe about 5 to 7 minutes. It looks like the average time to complete is taking students about 6 minutes or so, which is good. So we got a few moments. So let's take about 6, 7 minutes for you guys to go ahead and finish up. All right, you guys, we are, what did I say? Did I say 5 to 7 minutes, 18, about 6 minutes. But good, I see here that we've gotten a lot more student responses in. If you haven't completed it yet, that's okay, as long as you get it to me today. I don't want to rush you to finish, but I do want to go ahead and move past this just a little bit with the time we have left. So as you guys were working on it, I was going in and peeking at the responses that students have dropped so far. And rather than go question by question, where it asks, in your own words, how would you define, whether the fixed or growth mindset? I found your responses really interesting. The good thing about in your own words is we're looking at how you translate those definitions. We really can get to comprehension, to the heart of comprehension, when students can put things in their own words, right? So, but I could even tell from discussion that you guys had a really good understanding of what fixed mindset was and what growth mindset is. So really good responses here. Can you guys see my screen where it's kind of giving me the responses? It says anonymous.
Yes.
You guys, okay, good. So again, this is in the student's own words. So that's what I really like about this. How do you guys word what a fixed mindset is? So I get a better understanding of how you understand it. Fixed mindset is a non-open mindset, meaning the mind feels like it can't be learned or taught. Ooh, I like that interpretation. If we look at it literally, right, using the word fixed, then they are looking at their skills as though they're fixed already. There's nothing I need to do to improve or grow or become better. So I do like this response. It feels it can't be learned or taught. I like it. Another one to me, fixed mindset is like, you know what you're good at and what you're not, and you'll stick to what you feel comfortable. Yes. This word of stick to what you feel comfortable. We learned in the reading that the fixed mindset seeks out that safe space. So where you said stick to what feels comfortable, that speaks to they don't want to move outside the comfort zone, right? So anything that requires more work or more effort, or that may require me to work harder, yeah, that's what they attempt to avoid. So I like that. Fixed mindset is giving up easily and avoiding challenges. Yep, they definitely avoid anything that they feel takes them outside this natural realm. If it doesn't come naturally, right, then it must not be meant for me. So yeah, they do avoid challenges. And if they're doing something that may require, a level of effort, it's normally, we normally find that they give up easily. Okay, I see this one. A fixed mindset is a mindset that only sees things in one view. It's a very centered mindset, only looking down one path. Oh, I like this. A fixed mindset doesn't like to solve problems. If they are faced with the problem, they won't even try to figure it out. All right, this is good. Yes, so this was a good exercise in me really being able to see if you guys understood what fixed mindset meant. Okay, let me move on. Growth mindset. So I see you guys have fixed, even though the responses were different, even though you guys were somewhat saying different things, it was all still leading to that same conclusion. Growth mindset. So I see someone said expanding your mind to want to do more. So again, that word growth, if we look at the literal meaning, growing is about this expansion, right? So I see that. Another student says a growth mindset is a mindset that when encountering good or bad experiences, help you grow and become a better person. Yeah, that's a pretty accurate summary of what the growth mindset is. Like that. I like this one. A growth mindset is an open mindset in terms of wanting to learn and doesn't mind being wrong. So if we can look at fixed mindset and it's closed, this closed mindset, then it's natural to look at the growth mindset as it's more open-minded, right? Like that. kind of just cherry picking a few. A growth mindset looks at things as a learning process, meaning that person is willing to try new things. Good. A growth mindset sees things in multiple views. It's very optimistic mindset. I like the word choice. It's an optimistic mindset. It doesn't feel like any obstacle is too much. If I work hard, if I try hard, I can really be, I can do anything. So where you said, it's an optimistic mindset. Yeah. And if faced with the problem, we'll tackle it head on and keep trying until that problem is solved. Good. So you guys did great with that. There was one that I liked, looking at your responses. Number 4, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to close this out. After reading the article, consider the messages you have received from your parents, teachers, and authority figures about intelligence, ability, and success. Now, I don't know if you guys are yet seeing any connection to that Jason Oder text where he was talking about how indoctrinations, right? It kind of means that through tradition, laws, rules, people in authority place these certain ideals or expectations on us. So since we're looking at mindsets now, do you feel that the experiences that you've had with authority figures, teachers, parents, have shaped the mindset? We talked about the kids who were, I think, 5 years old, the ones with the puzzle, how they had already had or showed evidence of a fixed and growth mindset. So is it parents in our lives, our experiences in school, just authority figures in general who are shaping these mindsets? For the most part, from your answers, I know you guys are saying yes, but how do you think these messages have shaped your mindset? So let's look at this. Okay, here's one that says, all these message I have received from authority figures have helped me grow as a person and made me better, even if the messages weren't good. I like this one because what the student is saying here is, even if you received negative messages from people in authority, it still showed you something. Maybe being uncomfortable, maybe recognizing that, that message wasn't good, made us determined to rise above, right? And that too can shape a mindset. If, in the case, let's say, of the student in the Jason Oder text, Malcolm, remember the one who misspelled the word of, UV. Let's say that the teacher, instead of the students, let's say that the teacher, called him dumb or ridiculed him. Sorry, you guys. In front of the class. Well, that would shape Malcolm's mindset. He would then, let's say, I'm just, speculating, but I would guess he would start to speak up less in class as a result, because he spelled it based on how it sounded and got it wrong and wasn't encouraged by that. Someone telling him, yeah, it makes sense that you spelled it like that, but we spell it this way. Because if he did not receive that reinforcement, I can see how that may have began to shape his mindset towards education, right? And as a teacher, I've seen a lot of students who come into my classes having to recover from or build confidence from encountering these experiences with authority figures, maybe parents or teachers, etc., where they've kind of squashed or killed their motivation, soured the experience, and as a result, a mindset grew, right? Oh, I don't do anything I'm not good at, right? Oh, I don't really even attempt to take on new challenges, right? And it would be rooted in or stem from these interactions with people in authority position, the messages we received. So I like the fact that you're saying here, even if those messages weren't good, it still resulted in, still helped you to grow. That realization, and I know, even though it says anonymous here, once I go into your submissions, I can tell who sent this, but this response is a growth mindset response. to even say it helped me grow, to say that, to recognize that, that's a growth mindset. So I just see that in the response. Another, at a younger age, I had a fixed mindset, but after reading this article, it's similar to what my mom told me in terms of I have to work hard if I want to be smart. She told me anyone can be smart. It's just about the amount of effort you put in. Yeah, mom's was spot on in delivering that message to you at an early age, because I definitely agree with her. Anybody can be smart. Anybody can excel. I remember when I used to set goals, for my kids early on, and I would set goals such as, something like about how many A's do you want to get this semester? And I know grades isn't always a lofty goal, but we would kind of start, setting these goals. And I would always reiterate, to my kids, if I say something like, oh, get a 3.0 or 3.5, even if you're doing poorly, I still believe you're totally capable of that, with hard work, with kind of reaching out to your instructor. I think anybody can, make those strides. So I like this. That was a good message you received from your mother. I feel as if it made it growth, knowing how I think and react to things. I'm pretty sure I would have got influence to do better or push harder. So even if you don't immediately recognize those messages, that the people in your circle, authority figures, they normally support you and encourage you. So I like that. Again, picking around. So if I'm not saying what you submitted, don't, it's not anything personal. Again, it's anonymous. I'm just picking out a few things to kind of move through this quickly. Let me see. They made me realize that I have a fixed mindset because when I receive criticism, I never was able to build on it. So I'll just take it as a loss and go on and do something else. Ooh, I like this one because I see this happen all the time. If the teacher or whoever is giving you that criticism doesn't hold you accountable to it, and I call it feedback, right? Because the word criticism just has these negative connotations. When you hear the word criticize, you think it's going to be critical, right? Pointing out only what's wrong. But feedback, when it's constructive, shows you what you did well, but also talks about where you may need to focus your efforts to improve or grow. So criticism itself, to receive criticism, that could shut down any student. But when you don't hold that student accountable to that feedback, right? So if I say, what you need to do in order to write a better paper is make sure your introductions are more focused or more useful for the audience. Well, then I would want to make sure you revise this paper, rewrite it based on that feedback. And then from there, you're held accountable to that feedback instead of just kind of moving on to the next thing. That's why sometimes we take it as a loss. Yeah, you told me what you didn't like about it. Okay, moving on, right? And I see that happen a lot. So those messages could lead to fixed mindset. I see that. Let's see. Oh, I like this one. It shaped me to the point where I know I have a growth mindset. I'm always looking for something different and always trying to outdo myself. I like that in terms of, just by reading what we've read, you recognize yourself as having a growth mindset. And whether it was the messages from the adults, someone has put it in you, to always, strive, to do better. And where you pointed out to always outdo yourself. I like that too. Even when, and I just got a quick connection, a flashback to growing up in my own house. You guys have heard some interesting things about me. I know we talked about music, but another thing is I'm the middle child of 7 kids. So there was some competition in the house. We'll say that, okay? So if my sister got really good grades, I would feel like a level of competition. I'm feeling like, wait a minute, I see she's kind of getting this praise. She's getting this recognition. I want that too. So it was these messages that I don't even know if my parents were trying to send that I picked up on. But the competition, oh my goodness, it was, even if I'm competing with my sisters again, or if I receive, let's say, a B on something, where I'm thinking I may have done good. You know, my mother would say, well, next time try and get that A, you know. So it was always kind of this push to, you know, do better. Even if you did well, in what ways can you do better, right? So yeah, it'll manifest itself in how we approach education. Let me take one more. These messages have shaped my mindset by teaching me not to be a failure and strive for what I believe I can do in life and not show it. So, and strive for what I believe I can do in life. Okay, good. So I like that. So we're aware of the messages. Uh, I didn't see a whole lot of negative messages, but I do know growing up, it's almost impossible that we as impressionable people did not receive negative messages, right? But we're going to talk about that. This show back up in our reading, but with the amount of time that we have left, let me get ready to close on out. Okay, hold on. I have somebody in chat. Look, okay, so I see Aisha. Even though you sent me this privately, Aisha, I'm gonna go ahead and share it. Yeah. So she said, you know, she grew up on competition too. Her aunts always tried to make her kids better than, you know, oh, I see this all the time. Family, you know, competition, this rivalry. My kids are better than your kids. Not always a positive thing, but what came out of that you think is good is that it always made you go hard on everything. That is absolutely this whole almost to everything. I'm competitive. Almost everything. It could be if we go to a potluck and they're talking about, you know, a particular dish that, let's say, my sister-in-law brought, and they're talking about how good it is. Ooh, I'm gonna have to outdo her at this next. Like it's somewhat insane, but again, it's that mindset that drives. So we see that. All right, let me go ahead, stop share. Thank you guys for completing this and getting this turned in. Here's what you see. You see that even though you have assignments in modules, we still tap into that in-class participation and engagement. So even if, let's say, for instance, you miss a class and you're going by the module, you can still complete a module, but still miss, let's say, an in-class assignment. So in the module, the assignment was to read Fixed versus Growth Mindset. But then attached to that reading, we've had these in-class assignments. They didn't show up in the module, but in order to really get credit for it, you would have had to be in class. So I want you guys to kind of pay attention to how the classes ran, but also to how those modules are used, because I'm going to go in today and for the rest of the week and start adding to your grade book on our Brightspace course page. So now everyone has submitted module 1. So I'm gonna go in and record that those assignments, and you guys will start to see how what you do in the class, right? How that is impacting your grade. But also, I want you guys to keep in mind too that when we think about this idea of active pursuit or class engagement, it depends on what you do in class and also the completion of these modules. So anyone, let's say for instance, an example, let's say you showed up every day on week 1, but you turned in nothing. Well, you will be recorded as being inactive week 1. That was a week the student did not engage at all. And when a student has collected more than 3 of those inactive weeks, the student is dropped from the class. So again, really important to you matriculating through the course will be those modules and making sure you complete them and get them in. So let me dismiss us today with just a quick read through with week 2 modules. So you guys are very clear on what it is you need to be submitting before next Tuesday's class. Now, most of what's in this module, again, are reading assignments. But you guys do see that there were assignments attached to that reading. So let me show you this. So week 2. So I'm in our actual module, week 2 module, that introduced us to our theme of education and motivation. So you guys are finding most of the text that you've been reading, that we've been discussing, it will all deal with education and motivation. So we talked about the false beliefs, the Dr. Miranda research about assumptions or myths that we may hold about community college education. And then we have the fixed mindset here. This is, even though it's a number, and hold on, let me click on it for you guys really quickly. Let me get us out of here. Have you guys read through everything in the module? Like, what is our process with the module? Do we just wait until I tell you this is what we have to do, and then you go in there and read it? Or are we kind of actively working through the module? Whether we talk about it in class or not, I'm reading this because it's in my module. How are we approaching the modules, you guys?
I go
Working
about
through.
using
I heard
my
working through it.
I just read my syllabus and just going through it.
Okay,
Stuff I
good.
that I can do without no help or nothing.
Okay, good. What else?
I just been like here and there, like yesterday you posted to like read and stuff, and so I just read. So because I didn't know like we was gonna have to like you know talk about it. So yesterday I just read and annotated. So basically um like when you post, like I guess what we supposed to do. I'm not sure.
Okay, I like that, and that's good. I like what you say when you said you didn't really know how we would be dealing with this information, that we would be talking about it in class. So this is good, and that you guys are getting more experience with what we do with the module. So, although we didn't get a chance to talk about what thinking like an academic means, I still want you guys to read this information. I still want you to have this knowledge. So again, whether we discuss it, whether you guys are assessed on it, so whether you get a test or anything, you are responsible for the information in the weekly modules. You're responsible to read them, to review them, etc. So some things we'll go through together, like we did the PowerPoint presentation. Some things we won't, like the chapter on what thinking like an academic means, but you are still responsible for getting that information. So again, make sure you guys are knocking out the modules week by week. I do have some students who tend to be more proactive. So if I post the module on Tuesday, by Thursday, they've read everything in the module. They're kind of giving themselves homework, but because we're in this remote learning environment, I'm allowing you guys to work at your own pace. So you'll have to kind of learn what your pace is. Should I be reading something every night? Can I sit down on Wednesday night, because that's the night perhaps that maybe you don't work or your schedule is free, and now I go through everything? But it will require you guys to come up with whatever that pace is. So we'll get a little bit more practice on that. But for the weekend, you guys want to again read through the information. We didn't get to summary totally, but we are definitely operating on you guys summarizing the text that you read next week. So you want to peek at this summary rubric and introducing you to what goes into writing a summary. So to conclude, know that I'm updating your grade. So you guys will kind of see that. It'll ping to your Brightspace app. So just know Miss Cola's in there. She's recording information. But if you see the grade and you see, oh, wait a minute, I have a 50% because you didn't turn in something from the previous module, you then can come back and say, okay, well, let me go back and turn in what I didn't turn in from the previous module. So you want to stay on top of your assignments. And because I noticed quite a few students did not do the welcome video. I think out of a 16 students who are registered in the class, I think I only had 9 welcome videos. So keep in mind, those discussion board posts, they are a part of required coursework. So when you miss those, it's going to negatively impact that grade. So, like I know it's all new, we're kind of rounding out week 2, but you guys will get more practice, and hopefully the grades can help motivate us to stay a bit more active in our modules. Okay, so mainly reading here, but one thing to definitely make sure you read: the rubric, summary rubric, well, everything, but in preparation for next week, and also this back to basics review sheet. I planned on giving us a PowerPoint presentation about this week that I didn't get a chance to do. So we're going to pick up next week on, these two documents, okay? So did you guys have any questions for me before I let you go?
We gotta read the 2098 English Lord. Read that too.
Yeah, everything that's in this module is weekly reading or information. So yeah, the good thing is fixed versus mind, growth mindset. You guys have read that. We've already done the 7 false beliefs. So these 3, with what's left of the week, is all you guys have to worry about. This is nothing but a rubric, so you just review it. So these 2 are the last documents left for you guys to kind of really dig into, okay? Make sure you're digging into it. If I introduce it in the module, then students are responsible for that information. So I can come back next week and ask you something about the Back to Basics review sheet and expect that the students have read that because it was in the weekly module. So just know that. One more thing before we leave. I know. I am going to attempt to work in breaks, you guys. So we're getting out about 10 minutes early today. So you guys are kind of getting a slight break on the back end, but I do know 2 hours and 30 plus minutes, that's intense of us just talking and working the way that we have been. So I'm going to work in a midday break where we just pause, stretch your legs, go get something to drink, something to eat, and then we'll reconvene. So know that class session will look a little bit different with that next week, as I'm going to deliberately work in breaks. I don't want to burn you guys out. We have about 14 weeks left of the semester. Hold on, let me check chat. So when we're done, we email it to you, Mylan. There's nothing that you guys really have to email to me. Everything that's been attached to the reading, we've done it today in class. So for right now, there's nothing that you have to worry about emailing to me. Okay, Mylan? All right. All right, if you guys can think of any other questions, just shoot it to me in an email or use our Google Voice number and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. Get the reading done. Know that Monday is Labor Day, so it is a holiday weekend. So your Monday classes, whatever classes you have on Monday, know that Monday is a holiday, but I will see you guys again on Tuesday, okay? Thank you for your hard work today, you guys. Thank you for participating and engaging. I do appreciate it. Okay, you guys enjoy your weekend. Have a good holiday weekend.
All right, you too, Ms. Cole.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Look, it's the end of summer is what Labor Day represents. So it's last chance to get your number in. So enjoy your weekend, you guys. Have a good one.